Hi guys, it's Marshall here, and so it's Q&A Thursday. Here we go. So I posited some just random questions, and the big one that got the vote is, what does healthy conflict sound and behave like? Alright, first and foremost, conflict isn't the problem. It's a natural byproduct of two people or more people having a relationship. Conflict comes from a lot of different angles. Sometimes it comes from people's preferences, from their differences, from their pain, from their fears, from their hopes. Okay? Now, how does healthy conflict look? I'm going to create a little, one of those quick grasp things on this because it's really, really useful. Healthy conflict involves addressing the issue, not a person's character. We do not verbally attack the other individual, and if the other individual is verbally attacking us, we know we're in a hostile conflict at that point. So it doesn't involve the character of the individual. It involves non-violent communication. Communication involves total ownership of our experience. So, if I were in a conflict with someone, let's say somebody hurt my feelings, somebody scared me, and they maybe they did something that makes me question their trust. We'll go with that because that's a really relevant one anyway. So, all right. The way I would approach it, her name's Sally, so let's talk with Sally. So I'd say, Sally, I need to talk to you. I'm having some anxiety about an event that happened earlier where you said and did this thing, and it made me feel a lot of anxiety about trusting you, and that scares me because I want to trust you, and I do, and I want to understand what your motives were behind that action and behind what you said. And then, if she's a healthy person, she's going to take a moment and go, okay, let's say she has had a difficult day and she's flustered. Let's give her some context, some real life context. A healthy person from that situation would sit back and go, all right, I hear you, Marshall, and I know what you're talking about there. I need a little time to just kind of center myself and get grounded, and then I want to talk about that, because how you feel matters to me, and your trust matters to me. And then I said, okay. And she's like, okay, give me, we'll talk about it. How does tomorrow sound? Or how does later this evening sound? I'm like, that's fine, let's do it. So that was a conflict that was managed with empathy, understanding, and care, and with total ownership. Now, let's change this a little bit. She's had a great day, but she doesn't agree with my concern. So how are we going to deal with that? How's this going to come across? Because this happens. So in that kind of conflict, how Sally could approach it from the angle of like, all right, so Marshall, I hear you saying that you're frustrated, you're scared because I did and said this thing, and that makes you anxious about trusting me. Am I understanding you right? Am I on target? And I'd be like, yep, that's what I'm feeling. And she's like, okay, are you willing to hear my side out? And I'm like, yep, that's what I want to hear. I want to understand where you're coming from. She's like, okay, well, I did this and I said this because of these things and these factors going on. And they didn't have anything to do with us. They had to do with that relationship. And I get where you can see it that way. I mean, you've had some sensitivity in the past with those things, so I get where you're coming from. But yeah, with you, this is where I'm at. And with them, this is where I'm at with them. I went, oh, okay. And there we go. You notice, even if, I'm not in an intense situation right now. So there's not emotions involved in this. And that's where we get clouded. So healthy conflict is also about managing our emotion. But it means we are in total ownership of what we feel. This is where regulation comes in. This is why within the 10 laws, the first time you get into thriving emotionally, the first step is to learn how to hold. emotion. It used to be just getting into mindfulness, meditation, but now I've changed it to holding, because that's a really valuable skill. Well, holding plus mindfulness, presence, self-awareness, now I can go, ooh, I'm really, really anxious. I need to slow down. I need to give myself some space so I can ground and understand where I'm coming from, and then respond appropriately. This is key to making conflict work better, is to have total ownership of how you feel. Because frankly, nobody makes you feel anything. Nobody. Zero people make you feel something. You react or respond to somebody's actions or behaviors or words, whatever they're doing, based on your internal or emotional relationship to it. Whether that's based on experience or trauma or predisposition through your personality, you are the one generating that response to their actions. They own their actions, you own your feelings, right? So we always take ownership of it. If we're blaming somebody, we're making them responsible, then we're also making them the authority. And that means we are playing a role of victim and powerlessness. In general healthy conflicts, there's no victims. There's just misunderstanding and difference. And we need to come to understanding. And then, based on that, we can determine how to build a bridge. Bridging means we've got differences. Here's how we're going to meet in the middle. These are the terms in which we're going to agree to engage with. Okay? And sometimes in relationships, we don't get to build a bridge because the differences are so split, they're so separated that you can't build a bridge. When we encounter that in a conflict, there's a couple of options. The first one is just to set it on the table, to acknowledge that, yes, I understand you seeing things this way and I'm seeing it this way. Can we agree to just let it sit for a little while? If this is a critical area in the relationship, like let's say it's finances or having children or it's sex, things that are typically vital in a romantic relationship, then you might be encountering an incompatibility that might actually point towards maybe an end or a transition in the relationship. It really depends on the dynamic. It really depends on the couple and what's going on. Hi, Anya. Thank you. Yeah, you're very welcome. I love doing this. This is stuff that we all need. It's stuff that I needed. It's helped me, graduate from codependency and deal with life, head on. So, healthy conflict is respectful. It might get loud. There might be heatedness. It might be emotionally intense, but it's respectful. Meaning they're not attacking your character. Generally, they're not even swearing. Swearing, especially in conflict, is aggressive. So, and if they get loud, that can feel really aggressive. And sometimes that happens. And when that does, the person getting loud, I would encourage them to go, okay, I'm making this an uncomfortable or unsafe situation, so I'm going to own my loudness and say, I need to step away so I can get a breather, get myself back to center, and then we can continue to discuss this conflict. But fundamentally, healthy conflict's respectful. There's no character assassination. There's no attacks on character. The behaviors involved are discussed. The feelings are always owned. So whoever had the feeling owns it. Whoever did the behavior owns it. We own it by I statements. I feel, I did, those kind of things. And if you want conflict to work towards intimacy, because healthy conflict builds intimacy, it builds understanding and connection. If you want it to work that way, we need to be vulnerable with what we're really feeling. So, saying I'm really frustrated about the dishes, Sally, is probably not what's really going on. Maybe deep down, I'm feeling unappreciated. I work about 12 to 15 hours a day. I come home, and she had committed to doing the dishes, because I don't expect people to do the chores. I'll do the dishes if they're not done. in a relationship, even though I hate them, burned them all. But she had committed to it and they weren't done, and now there's nothing to eat on. And that just kind of gets me. Because really it's not the dishes, it's the lack of follow through on the commitment. And deeperly, I start to fear that I can't trust her. See, that's where I need to come from. That builds connection and intimacy, because now I'm putting it on the table. And that's a big, scary thing to do, but if we're going to have thriving, connected, intimate relationships, we gotta go there. We have to put it on the table. Now, if you're in a violent relationship, a domestic abuse situation, you're dealing with an active narcissist, they are narcissistic, don't go there. That just gives them ammunition. What you need to do, because that's an unhealthy conflict situation, is learn how to gray rock, and you're gonna freeze. I mean, most people do in those situations. And then look for a way, start designing an exit plan that keeps your safety and allows you to liberate from that situation. But healthy conflict, respectful, no character assassination. It can be emotionally intense, and then you're looking to understand, not change their mind and not have your mind changed, but to understand each other's points of view, your positions, and then build a bridge. That's it. Okay? So in conflict, you only have two options. You can be right, and you'll end up alone if you're right, but you'll be right, or you can understand. And I encourage you to practice vulnerability and practice learning to understand the other position. That doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but knowing where they're coming from and then helping them understand that you do makes it a lot safer to explore new options. Because most of the time, we want to meet in the middle, especially if we care about the other person and their well-being and their happiness. We're going to strive to find a way in the middle. So that's how we handle healthy conflict, and that's what it sounds like. That's what it works like. All right. How do you reject an opportunity firmly but not permanently? Thank you, Daniel, for giving me a more explanation. The response you put in your to my question on the post answers your question. Right now, it doesn't work for me. But let's keep in contact, because that can change down the road. That's a reasonable way to maintain a connection there. That's flexible. It doesn't leave them on the hook. It doesn't leave you on the hook. And it's honest. Because maybe you like the opportunity, but it doesn't fit with what you're doing or your goals are right now. Well, now you can say, well, right now it doesn't fit for what I'm looking for. But that could change, because I've been thinking, down the road, keep me in the loop. I have that with actually my old IT job. Sometimes they contact me and I'm like, that'd be kind of fun. But, the last 4 times I've said no, so I don't think they'll be reaching out again. But it's good to keep the door open that way. It's really hard to do that with relationships, though. Like if you're dating and you tell somebody that, you just sunk your boat. So like things like job opportunities or going out to dinner or going to a movie, things that are casual like that, it makes sense. But when you get into something that's more serious like dating, it's on or off with that typically. So yeah, you answered your question there, and I appreciate it because you gave me some insight there. Okay, so the third one here. How do I handle anxiety? I'm going to show you. Anxiety is about the future. It's about fear. Okay, it's about what if. It's always a what if. It's mental what ifing. I'm out there, it's what if. That means we're not present in our body. So when we get into law 3, which is about mindfulness, that's about being present in the body, right? In the moment. So anxiety is a fear response to the future, which means we're not present. So let's get ourselves present. The easiest way to do that is to regulate. And for codependents, because we grew up without physical touch most of the time and physical regulation, especially when we were in pain, when we were hurting, our nervous systems do not know how to regulate well. So we need to teach it. Easy way. Get your forearm out, get the underside of it, and slowly stroke. While you just focus mentally on where the sensation of anxiety is in your body, and just breathe into it while you do this. You do this for about 4 to 5 minutes. It's typically going to regulate your nervous system from sympathetic response or high alert down to parasympathetic response or relaxation. So you can do that. Now there's another way to do this and do this quickly, but it's not as subtle as this. Now if you're in a public situation, you can do this. But if you're private or you're just comfortable being, seen doing this, you can yawn and stretch like that. And you do that 4 to 5 times, and you just let yourself roll through it. Your brain automatically switches you down to parasympathetic response. PNS kicks in because your amygdala is like, oh, we're not in danger. Turn on all the fun circuits. Turn on the creativity in the prefrontal cortex. Calm down the nervous system because we're safe. The reason it does this is because we don't yawn when we're in danger. So yawn and stretch. Do it 3. I usually do it 4 to 5 times, and then I let myself center. I just let myself relax into it. Now, I grew up with an anxiety disorder, so I have a predisposition or a propensity to launch right back into it. So becoming calm is uncomfortable for me. If that's your experience, what you want to do is continue to regulate, and then you want to use 6 questions. Okay? 6 questions. First one is there a threat I can see? And you look around. Nope. Is there a threat I can smell? Nope. Is there a threat I can hear? Nope. Is there a threat I can touch? Nope. Is there a threat I can smell? No, I've already done that one, but is there a threat I can taste? See, I'm using the sensations, our senses in our body. And the last one is there a threat? Because, again, fear's in the head, it's in the mind. And danger is something that's situational. It's out here in the world. That also means it's conditional and temporary. And so when we get our brain to acknowledge that there's no physical danger around us, using our senses, not just telling ourselves that, but using our body to detect whether there's a threat or not, we are automatically helping the brain confirm its safety, and then it can relax a little deeper. Then you just can regulate. You're good to go. Another thing to do with anxiety is to create what's called an oh crap plan. This comes from Mark Waldman, who's a neuroscientist that I follow. We have this thing called vision boards, right? Here's my vision board. I'm going on a cruise, going to buy this car, things like that. Well, he's like, hey, put that to work with an oh crap board. Put up your fears and then create a plan for solving it. See yourself getting through the fear. See yourself triumphing over it. And what this does is it arranges you into your confidence so you can take it on. And 99% of the time, you're never going to have to face those fears anyway. And if you do, you know what to do. And I do that with fears. I mean, running a business, you got a lot of fears. It's a fair bit of risk. So when one shows up, I do this. I write it down. I have a logical plan. I know what I need to put into place to ensure blah, blah, blah. But then I also visualize myself facing it and overcoming it successfully. Handling the stress or the anxiety or what else is going on, I'm embracing it. So that's a really powerful way to help us get creative, get out of the conclusion, and take our power back by creating a solution in response to the threat or to the possibility of threat. All right, so one last thing we've got. So what are boundaries really? Boundaries are governing rules between people. So I like to think of people like territory. If you go through the 10 laws, you take the course, you take foundation course, you're going to learn about territory and ownership. So I got my yard, and you got your yard. And there's a fence with a gate in it. And that fence is a boundary. And that gate is a place where we can meet to create an agreement about moving through the boundary. But the gate has certain qualities to it. So, like, I have a boundary that says I don't deal with narcissistic people. Now, if I come into a relationship with someone and they start to exhibit narcissistic traits like, grandiose thinking, lack of empathy, chronic victimhood, utter disrespect for my boundaries, things like that, my gate turns into a wall. They can't get past it because I will not deal with them. Okay? So boundaries are a way of understanding ourselves as a separate component or individualized person from someone else. Now, most people use boundaries to promote safety and protection, like in my example is a protection boundary. But boundaries also promote our happiness, because Mr. Wall in my example turns into a gate when a person who's kind and loving and respectful of me shows up. Then they can walk through the boundary and come into my yard and spend time in my world. They don't take territory in my world. I don't take territory in theirs, because that's codependency. They're autonomous, I'm autonomous, but we share time together in each other's space. And then if we get into like a romantic relationship or a friendship or something, or a like coaching relationship, whatever it is, then we co-create a space for us. But I still get to be separate and individual. They still get to be separate and individual. But here in this space, we can connect and collaborate and do things together. My boundaries are designed to promote my happiness, not to protect me from my fears. Okay? I don't fear getting in a relationship with a narcissist. I have boundaries that promote just connection. So if somebody isn't connecting with me, whether or not they're a narcissist or not, I'm not going to actively invest and engage with them, because I'm an introvert. My time and my energy are valuable, and when I'm in a social situation, it's an investment for me. So I'm deliberate with it because I know that's limited for me. So that's another boundary. So boundaries are really about helping us understand where we are in relationship to somebody else, and then creating a negotiation of connection there. Choose boundaries that make you happy, that promote your happiness. It's a lot easier to manage those because you're going towards what you want rather than avoiding what you don't. If we're avoiding what we don't want, it's like driving the car through the rearview mirror while going forward. It just doesn't work. You end up where you don't want to be, and you don't even know where the hell you are at that point. It's like, I've got away from the scary thing, but I don't even know where I'm at. But if we drive forward by, choose a destination and go for it, then whatever's behind us becomes more and more irrelevant the farther we get down that road. Okay. So that is Q&A for this week. I'm going to, what is today's the first? So next week is the 8th, right? We're going to try the Zoom one. And if we're going to do Zoom, that means I need to have a concrete, 7 o'clock Mountain Daylight Savings Time. There'll be a Zoom conference posted in the group. You just click on the link and join, and then we can actually interact a bit. Some rules will be posted. The first rule is you only get one question. Second rule is to keep it short. I will take up to, there'll be a time limit of about 15 to 30 minutes. Okay? So whatever we can knock out in 15 to 30 minutes, we'll do. Okay? So I'll post that info in the group. Now, if you've got more questions, just post them in the group. I may just type out a response, or I might do another video Just depends on what grabs me. But I'm excited to see how this works for you guys. Thank you for being here, being part of the 10 Laws, being part of my tribe, and allowing me to connect with you and make an impact in your life. When you're ready to jump in deep and make big changes for you, enroll in the Foundations course. It's almost, I mean, you can enroll in it now and you'll get started. I've gone through a major revamp in the course. It's been out for a year. And so it's going through another shift. There's a lot more going on. I'll be posting more information about that over the next couple of days and weeks. Other than that, I'm excited that you guys are here, and you guys have a great evening. Bye-bye.